So you're not depressed. No, you're just a bit under the weather. Yeah, you're not your usual vital, energetic self. Yeah, that's there's a lot of people feeling like that just now. I've got a lot of people in talking to me about that at this current moment in time. I wouldn't panic. I would say to you, it's quite natural. It is only the beginning of July. We're in the middle of the close season. So you're not supposed to be at your optimal Rangers enthusiasm just now. You need a break, you need a psychological break, especially when you weren't given a lot to go on. There's not a lot to sustain you after last season. Quite a cruel ending to the season, losing the Scottish Cup final in the last minute after taking the lead with a goal that was disallowed, losing the league just with a game to spare, really. That ended up being quite tight, not very good for you. Not a lot of news coming out of Ibrox about marquee signings. No, plenty of activity, but not the kind of big name signings that are reassuring you, making you feel enthusiastic. And of course, there's all the nonsense with the stadium, isn't there? You don't know where your season ticket is actually going to be taking you at the beginning of next month. Uncertainty always creates negativity, always creates a bit of doubt. But what we'll do, we'll put you in a yeah. Well, I mean, Celtic. I remember 2014. They were trying to play a European qualifier in Dublin. Was it in Croke Park? They were mooting the possibility of that when the Commonwealth Games was using Parkhead. I mean, that whole 1993-94 season they played it at Hampden. That was their home stadium. So it's not unusual. It's not unusual for teams to move their home games to another stadium. But what I'll do to get you, it's the Euros as well. I know the Euros, it is football, but it's not Rangers, especially now Yanis Hadji at Romania are out, so the only registered Rangers player at the Euros this summer is no longer there. It's not the same thing. You need something to get you going. I'm going to put you on a little course of medication, and we're going to make it for a 6 week course, made up of like three different increasingly stronger dosages. Now, what is yeah? Because this is what the Wednesday, the 3rd of July, the league season. 3rd of August, isn't it? So it's a month until we play Hearts at Tynecastle. We don't want you hitting, your peak powers by that point in time, because as the season starts, we're going to have to work out where it is we're playing. We're home games. It might be Hampden. And the fact that the goals are so far from the stands there, you'll need to have more energy about you. And it could be Murrayfield. It's a lot of travel that you're not used to. It could be Ibrox with one stand shut. So we're going to try and kind of build you up slowly to just hit your peak performance when Rangers start playing their home games in this upcoming new season. So the first 2 weeks, I'm going to put you on a little course here called. Now, you don't have to go to see the receptionist. No, don't see the receptionist. You can just go straight home and key this into YouTube. I'm going to write it down for you, but it's The Prodigy Live Rock Am Ring 2009. That's Rock Am Ring. Rock AM. It's German. Rock Am Ring. It's a concert in Germany. 2009. Full concert. Take Me to the Hospital. Sorry, no, that's not. That's just the name of the tour, and then of course one of the singles, Take Me to the Hospital. That's an hour and 3 minutes. That concert. It's outside Rock am Ring. It's the Neuberger Ring. It's in Nuremberg. We have the car racing. It's just around the corner, I think, from where Rangers lost the 1967 Cup Winners' Cup final. But that will get you going. You'll start feeling a bit of benefit from that. It's 1 hour, 3 minutes long, and then after a couple of weeks, we're going to move you up to the Prodigy Live at, that's the at sign, Minsk. The Prodigy Live at Minsk 2016 full HD. Now that's 1 hour 22 minutes. Minsk, of course, capital of Belarus. Belarus, a totally repressed country, so it's a pirate recording. Someone recorded it on their camera phone, but the intensity. This is an inside venue. The Neuberg Ring is it's basically the starting part of the track for the. I'm not a Formula One person. That's true depression, but it's really open, but there's probably 200,000 people there or something. It's really intense, but there's people getting chucked about, tossed about like salad, but it's still room for them to dance and to jump up and down, and it's good. It's German TV footage. It's good footage, but it's going out into the air, and I think Keith Flint is still on the go then, and you've got Maxim Reality, the front man. They're kind of middle aged, so they're worried about getting dad bods. That they've obviously clearly been working out, but I think Keith in particular, it's affected his ability, his kind of dance moves. He's a bit stiffer than he used to be, and his voice is starting to go. But in in Minsk, it's indoors. It's just a pulsating mass of people needing to be free, needing to express the repression they've been feeling, to get it out of the system and feel some sort of freedom in the moment. So it's absolutely, that's really intense, much more intense. I would say, I'm going to recommend you listen to these twice a day. And this is, I say, for the full course. You've got to take the full 14 days in each case. And then finally, I'm going to put you on are you allergic to Firestarter? Because I know a lot, you can, it's just unpleasant. Taking medicine, it is unpleasant. And I know it's kind of like Frank Sinatra's My Way. It's the song that people who don't know anything about them, I think, is the most famous song. And it is the most famous song, but it just brings to it. It's medicine. You've got to, there's going to be a bit of unpleasantness involved, but as long as you're not allergic to it, that's fine. So yeah, but I think once we get to the beginning of August, we're going to put you up onto the Prodigy Dash Phoenix Festival 1996. Yeah, I know it's just the crowd there. It's like an orgy and a car crash all mashed in together. It could be one person. It's just unbelievably intense. They're at their very best, at the youngest. Maxim Reality. He's the MC. Is that a bit Jack McLaughlin? No, Thingamajig, the laird of the Cookadens. Well, he's the kind of laird of the voodoo people. It's like if Fran had done half an Eckie and Anna was on the speed. Same kind of thing. Alexander Brothers, Smack My Bitch Up. That kind of idea. In fact, he's wearing a kilt in this one. He's wearing a kilt in this one, Maxim. So it's very good, quite appropriate. Keith's just a podgy wee boy. He's just still got the puppy fat on him. He's got the green hair for the Firestarter video. Voice absolutely fantastic. It's I've never seen energy like it. So I would get yourself on that for the last 2 weeks, and that will be see them live in concert. No, through the NHS. No, remember you have to go private. I saw them at Isle of Wight Festival. It was on the telly the other weekend. Slightly anodyne, beautiful. Like Keith's not there anymore. Beautiful light show, but no, it definitely would speed up your recovery if you could see them actually live. But I say that's not on the NHS at this point in time, I'm afraid. Mariah Carey. Yeah, Mariah Carey, it's not going to do you any harm. It's not going to put you back at all. And it's very nice. I was listening to The Emancipation of Mimi myself just the other week when I was feeling a wee bit down, but it's not strong enough to get you back to yourself, to be psyched up properly for the start of the season, watching Rangers. And as I would always, just, you can't mix any of this. You can't have any Mary J. Blige when you're taking this course of medicine. You're going to a wedding. Oh, yeah, that could be a problem. Is it a DJ? Oh, right, yeah. Well, I think at a wedding, at family affair. It's mostly going to be family affair. Anybody's wanting Mary J. Blige at a wedding, that's quite funky. It's quite upbeat. You'd be okay with that. But if you hear anybody requesting no more drama, you just need to get out. You need to just go and get in your car and go away, because you cannot. That's catharsis. That's full catharsis stuff. And I think at this point in time, with no trophies under the belt, no league title for 3 years, we can't afford to be having full catharsis. We can't afford to be starting the tears until there's something nice to back it up. So that is you. Like I say, I'll just give you your prescription here, and any problems, just get in touch and ask for myself. This is your Fatec post Euro 2024 last 16 reaction pod, coming to you in association with the Jersnet microphone, and also with wearing your anorak. Hood up when the sun's out, because you've left the house and it was absolutely peeing down, so you put the anorak on, you forget your baseball cap, and then you're halfway down the road and the sun starts belting down, and suddenly all these folk appear that are dressed for Wimbledon or Fire Island or something like that. Where these folk come from? They're just readily dressed, and they start looking at you like you're some sort of weirdo because you've got your hood up. I didn't know you had skin cancer. I don't. So yeah, welcome to another Fatec podcast. Really good of the government to time this general election for the 2 days that the Euros aren't on. The Euros have stopped. The last 16 is all over. We've got a day to watch telly and find out that actually is a general election on. People are quite upset about politics. It's quite weird, isn't it? Tomorrow we go and vote, and Friday we can get up Friday morning and just watch the news for a bit, find out how much Labour have won by, and then that's it. The Euros start again. The coverage will probably start about 4 o'clock. That's us. We can get into the football again. Just to keep you going in the meantime, I've got nothing to say. I've just got thing to say, as you probably know. Alec, that just seemed like a whole lot of waffle at the beginning of your video. I resent that accusation. I resent the accusation that when I do these videos, I'm just waffling, to waste time because there's nothing really of any particular note to talk about when it comes to Rangers. And if somebody says that to me, what do you mean, Alec? It's not Alex, it's Alex. My name's Alex. You're writing it down, Alex. Don't just, that's fine. If you're writing it down, Alex, and what's the problem, Alec? You like it? You don't let me call you Alex. No, I don't let you. I want to be called Alec, but I want it written down like Alex. Now, what the hell are you talking about? And I said, well, say Alec, Alec. That means the last three letters, if you say them backwards, that's the first syllable of Celtic. That just looks cheap. That looks nasty to me. I'm sorry, but that's just no me. I can't have that. So I like it written down Alex. My name is Alexander, technically speaking. So it's not Alexander, it's Alexander. So Alex is half it, and I like it written down like that. Well, why do you want to be called Alex? Why do you want us to say it like? Well, say if you say Alex, if you say it out loud, I don't really mind it, but it does sound a bit kind of American and non-American bloke. It sounds like an American teenage lassie in some sort of kind of John Hughes film or something like that. Alex, a cheerleader who's a goth. I mean, unless she falls in love with a jock and then, Alex, what are you doing? Are you playing that music again? You've got a rah-rah skirt on, pom-poms. I just need to get this guy. I need to get him. No, I'm not. It's not that kind of Alex. It's like Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson. He does that, doesn't he? Sir Alex, but he also gets called Alec Ferguson while writing it down as Alex. So not waffling, not trying to waste time at all. There's so much good news coming out of Ibrox just now. Liam Kelly's back. Liam Kelly has come back. How dare he show his face around here after he played for Motherwell, who started knocking the wheels off the big baldy Belgians bus with that 2-1 win against us at March. They came to Ibrox and won. Liam Kelly, who we just absolutely shower with praise and fondness, and he gets the applause every time he comes back to go in nets in front of us for Motherwell. So well liked, good to see him back. What does this mean? Robbie McCrory, we're always hearing that Robbie McCrory is going to be leaving. John McLaughlin has left, so is there room for Robbie McCrory to stay? I don't know. Jack Butland, we don't know if he's going to get sold or not because we haven't made that marquee signing. As I'm saying, Jack Butland seems to be the biggest asset we have in terms of attracting a potentially massive price. Is he going to be sold? Talk of him getting the captaincy, was that ever certified? Was that ever proven to be true? I don't think so. There seems a lot of chat, a lot of wishful thinking involved as well. I'm getting to the stage, I really don't know if I'm going to be more surprised if Tav doesn't go to Saudi Arabia or if he stays, seeing him in the kind of promo shots for the new strip. I think maybe that means he's going to be staying or he's hanging around to get a testimonial, but you don't know what this means. If Jack Butland was going to be the captain, I would actually prefer if Tav was staying, because then we know the manager's one of those kind of managers. Like that's a Jean-Claude Van Damme film. When Jean-Claude Van Damme's a bit old, one of his more recent films, he's trying to do kind of more edgy stuff because he's getting old. Is it The Bouncer? And he goes to the audition really to be a bouncer. He goes for what he thinks is going to be an interview for some club in Brussels or whatever it is set. And the guy who owns the club just says, I don't know if he throws something on the floor and just says that's it. The guy who comes in, there's a whole group of them are going out for the interview. He only wants one bouncer, and it's basically last guy standing gets the job, and they'll start fighting each other, and Jean-Claude Van Damme wins it. Be quite good if Big Clermont just go all the players in the dressing room, because the dressing room's quite big, got the captain's armband, threw it in the middle, and they all piled in like the hardest guy comes out with the armband. Then he's obviously meant to be a captain. A lot of talk, people saying you can't have a captain as a goalkeeper these days because only as we're seeing with the Euros, always big tournaments are used to bring in new kind of laws. I remember Euro 92 was the first, no pass back. No pass back rule was first brought in at Euro 92 during the European Championships. Absolutely mental. I think we first got to know about VAR during World Cups and stuff like that, and there we have this new one where only the captain can approach the referee. I think it's quite a good one. But if your goalkeeper is the captain and he's got to approach the referee as regularly as he will have to with the number of goals we get chopped off against Celtic with VAR, you really want him having to sprint halfway up the park coming out his goals? I'm not going to worry about anything like that until we get the announcement that Tav has left, probably taking Connor Golson with him to Saudi Arabia. This is the third day that the Saudi transfer window has been open, so I'm waiting to hear on that one. That's quite a big one. What else have we got? I'm struggling. Yanis Hadji said Romania That's them out the Euros. They kind of come out the way they come in. Allianz Arena, Munich. Yanis Hadji comes on as a sub when they're beating Ukraine 3-0, and then he goes off as a sub yesterday at the Allianz Arena in Munich as they're losing 3-0 to the Dutch. So you've got Yanis Hadji, Rangers player, playing against the Netherlands, the Orange Men, wearing an all-blue kit. That was a difficult one. That was a difficult watch. I was kind of upset that he never got to play at the Westfalen. He never got to play at Dortmund. Everybody else seems to be going to the Westfalen, Dortmund, during this Euros, but he never got to go there because that's Alaves' most... their biggest moment in football came there when they lost 4-3 to Liverpool. Steven Gerrard scoring against them in that famous UEFA Cup final in 2001. Do you remember that? That was anyway. So I think it was a £35 million performance yesterday when he was on for the 70 minutes or so that he was on for. It wasn't, was it? It wasn't. Give us like 30 million and we'll start talking. Make an offer for about 30 million. Yanis Hadji. He's an icon, obviously, for the Romanians, and obviously not a terrible player by any manner of means. I think he is getting by a lot on his surname. He's not getting into that team on his surname. He's doing a lot of good stuff. But it's got to the stage, if you're performing in the last 16 at the Euros and getting good touches and taking head knocks and what have you, it means you're a player. He's not going to do us any harm if he comes back to Ibrox. But all the noise is he's leaving, and I just don't know that he did enough to up the price that we're liable to get from. Are we even going to get a price from, I don't know, Hefty, the lefty, the Brazilian? We know that we've got him from Cypriot football, so he's in the door. What else have we got? Robbie Fraser. I'm not having a look at notes here. It's all in here because it's so pulsatingly exciting. The players are back in training. That's the manager's got them back at pre-season training. That's fine. Robbie Fraser, he signed a contract extension to be, fifth in line fullback. I don't know how much Robbie Fraser's going to feature. Dessers and Lammers, the noises seem to be that they are going. Lammers, obviously, we're hoping to get our money back on him. Might not be the case because he's doing all sorts of damage in the Eredivisie, the different kind of damage, the opposite kind of damage he seemed to be doing to us when he was here at the beginning of last season. I had a terrible time with it, Sam Lammers. And Cyril Dessers, I'm tired of having the Dessers conversation. I completely agree with everybody who says he's not good enough, and I completely agree with everybody who says you can't ignore the amount of goals he scores, and he's a cracking professional. Again, not going to do us any damage if he stays, but I think it's more likely that he's going to leave, and I think we need to get the money. I get it that we can't be having players who are, just doing a job, just at a level. We need to up things. We need to start being able to win things, which is why you can't get too excited about a lot of the signings. Clinton Insiala. We signed Clinton Insiala, the famous Clinton Insiala, and it's good. It's good that we've upped the amount of Incies at Ibrox. We've got Paul Incio as well. We had the Ryans, the Ryan Jack, Ryan Kent. They were great, but they couldn't play enough. Ryan Jack because he was injured all the time. Ryan Kent just couldn't get the numbers. He had massive moments for Rangers, but they weren't there in the team regular enough. And I think it's time to get rid of the Ryans. The Ryans dying. No more Ryans at Ibrox. We're just going to have Incies now. Insiala insist that the new season is newly inspirational. I don't know what I'm doing here, but Clinton Insiala, Rennes, born in Rennes. He was born in Rennes in the 17th of January 2004. Now that, not that I'm struggling, not struggling for news coming out of Ibrox. It's of any kind of import. That day that he was born, I was watching Shota Arveladze scoring the winner against, I think it was Motherwell at Ibrox. 1-0 win against Motherwell at Ibrox. Previous week we'd beat Hibs 2-0 in the Cup. Let's not talk about how the league, how the season in general went that season, but that's a fairly lucky day for the fella to be born. The fact that I was at football was an adult on the day he was born. I mean, he's born in Rennes, Clinton Insiala, born in Rennes. That's first team that we played in our run to winning our only European trophy. We played the Stade Rennais in the first round there on the old Rue de Lorient. So that's fairly lucky. He was also at Nantes. That's the thing. He's just all with Clinton Insiala. It's just all youth stuff. He's a French under 8 years old international or something like that. He didn't play for the Milan first team or anything like that. He had a wee spell at Nantes as a youth in Nantes, Stade de Bourgeois, beautiful stadium. Now, France were going to keep up the Euros as well. France were playing Belgium the other day. Impressive by France, but Not a great game to watch. Now, the last one other time that France put Belgium out of the Euros, 1984, in Nantes, in the Nantes Stadium, that was absolutely tremendous. That was a performance. That was a France team. And that game, 1984, just 40 years ago, Belgium were the only one of the two teams on the park that day that had played in a major international final. Yeah, they played the Euro 80 final. At that point in time, France had never made the final of the World Cup or the Euros. It would change a few weeks later. But yeah, I think Clinton Ciala he's in the San Siro. They have signed him from Milan. Apparently, Paolo Maldini was heavily involved in his transfer. I heard that in the Rangers news the other day, and that's lovely. You know, it's lovely. But I think he's probably sitting there in the San Siro, and he's just looking up at the Milan team in 93, 94. He's seen their stats. He's seen, you guys, you won the league 34 games by only scoring 36 goals. How did you manage that in 1993, 1994? Oh my God, you only conceded 15 goals. That great Milan team, 93, 94. They won all the games 1-0, 2-1. They drew 0-0. It was unbelievable. And then they lost Billy Costa Curta and Baresi through suspension for the final of the Champions League against the attacking might of Stoichkov and Romario's Barcelona Cruyff's dream team. Well, they just went all out attack and they absolutely levered them 4-0. But I think Clinton Cialas obviously saw that and he's thought, that's amazing. I'm as a centre half, a left-sided centre half, so he's thinking that's fantastic. I'm into those kind of stats. Oh my God, wait a minute. There's a team in Scotland who played 38 games in a season and only conceded 13 goals. I'm going there. That's what's clearly inspired him to come along here. What's happening with Sima? Abdallah Sima? He's away, back to Brighton. I want him back. I know he was injured for a while and people are starting to get paranoid about injuries. We're going to come on to that. But I want Sima back because he knows Ibrox, he knows Scottish football, he knows how to do it. He knows Europe as well. He's a fantastic worker. He's just a great player. Nearly won as a Scottish Cup. Should have won as a Scottish Cup. I think we should do everything we can to get Sima back. How much do you want to spend on him though, Alec? I know. I think the new Brighton manager, they've got a different manager every year. Brighton doesn't seem to do them any harm. But I don't want that to be the case with us. He's saying the 8 million they were asking from originally, they can maybe, we could work around that. But that means if we go in there with 5 million, we'll be kind of struggling. And I don't know if we can afford to be spending that on players who might be injury. He's not injury prone, but it's becoming a worry. Kenny McLean, was a proposed deal for Kenny McLean. It seems to have stalled if it's not dead or anything. That would be approaching a marquee signing. Kenny McLean's age, I think, makes that a bit of a problem as to whether it's a marquee signing or not. But cracking big player, a blue nose, it would get the fans going. That would be the kind of thing that would get us excited. What is getting me excited just now? Because we're generally hoping that a few of our big names going out the door are going to be required. That's going to require a few names going out the door before we get the big signings at the beginning of the season. And we're probably going to be in that position at the beginning of the season, worrying how we're going to go on in Europe before we find out exactly, if we get through into the Champions League, before we can find out exactly how much money we can be spending. I haven't even mentioned Connor Barron. Poor Connor Barron from Aberdeen. Fantastic young guy, early 20s again, like so many of these fellas we're picking up just now. He's got to get a kind of undercoat to the squad at this moment in time. Spoke very well. I think everybody's agreed on that. He spoke very well. Old head on young shoulders, very mature in the press conference. If you can tell anything from a presser, I think sometimes you can. He came across very clever, very determined, very mature, like not interested in social media. Good man, absolutely fantastic. I think that's a wee lesson there straight away for Todd Cantwell. We're not going to talk about that just now. But yeah, that's good. But see, we don't have a CEO. We don't know where we're going to be playing next season. No real marquee signings. What I will say though is, signed Dutchman Andries Uldering. Who's come in as another assistant manager. I think that's the kind of thing don't get me wrong, if we turn around and we sign Kenny McLean and, Ollie McBurney's available. Anyway, if we sign Kenny McLean and somebody, a real kind of exciting striker or something like that. We've got the fella Hamza Egaman, another Moroccan under 23 playing up front for a Moroccan side I haven't heard of. A forward, the idea that he's definitely leaving them. Seems like it's going to be embarrassing for us if he doesn't come to Rangers at this point in time. I don't think it's official, but he seems to be coming to us. That'll be good. But if it's somebody we've heard of, or if it's somebody particularly exciting, that'll be great. But we need it to happen. But what it is for me, the one thing that's on my mind most when I think about this pre-season is unfortunately the same thing that was on my mind last pre-season: the players' fitness, getting the squad properly prepared. As Brian Archer of Jersnet he wasn't keen to tell me, but he did tell me, and I was trying to avoid thinking about it, but he nailed it. We're basically just thinking about Philippe Clement the same as we were. And Philippe Clement's got a historic win against Real Betis and a historic League Cup, getting his first League Cup in 13 years. He's got that kind of stuff under his belt, and we've saw what he did when he had the players available to him. But we're generally thinking the same thing we did about Philippe Clement starting this upcoming season as we thought about Michael Beale starting the last season. And I thought Michael Beale, I had it in my mind, I felt I've been proven wrong, that the players were unfit under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. I think it'd been mooted, had been put out there anyway, just perhaps a scurrilous rumour that the players weren't getting the pre-season they required under Gio when he had them for a pre-season, and that's why we ended up crashing and burning in the league under him at the beginning of his what was supposed to be his first full season in charge. Didn't happen. So when Beale came in, I could see when he first arrived, we looked quite sharp. We're just a wee bit behind Celtic. We beat them 3-0, albeit the league's already done. Plenty of promise there. Went and took us in a good run, Michael Beale. So yeah, this is going to be great. Get a few of his own signings in. Sign Dessers. Announce Lammers. Remember that? And then I saw those pre-season friendlies and were really slow, and it just didn't happen at all. It was terrible. I can't see his CV. Philippe Clement's would have you think that he knows exactly what he's doing, or he's certainly going to get us to a much better level than Michael Beale did. But you can't, you should learn your lesson from these things. You have to be ultra cautious. But for me, Andries Uldering coming in, Ajax backroom, Ajax youth team, Ajax he basically coached every kind of Ajax side except the Ajax first team. I think he's in his early 50s as well. He's coming in alongside Stefan van der Heyden as another assistant manager, so it's kind of like Mount Triglav, the Slovenia. How good were they against Portugal the other night? Slovenia, they've got the thing on their kit. Slovenia, it's the Mount Triglav. It's the actual kind of famous mountain, the highest peak in Slovenia. They had it previous World Cups depicted a different way. It was a kind of up there, almost like a heart monitor reading. It's like Charlie Brown's T-shirt. But now they've got it. This little kind of symmetrical rendering. It's almost like the head of a missile, and it's like two little mini peaks, and then the full peak. And I think that's the system now at Ibrox. You've got your two assistant managers, Andries Uldering and Stefan van der Heyden, and at the top is Philippe Clement, who obviously I think that now confirms he's a Dutch speaker. I've never really got that confirmed. He sounds like one. He sounds like a phlegm, we call him, as opposed to a Walloon. But yeah, it's never really been properly confirmed. But Ajax coach, behind the scenes, assistant to Jaap Stam at Reading, assistant to Mark van Bommel at Royal Antwerp, coaching since he was 25 years old. He's been, I was reading something, it was a Daily Record I had to read the other day, saying something about him being a co-author of a book on coaching kids and something like that. But a coaching guru by all indications, and this is the kind of thing that's actually getting me excited. I'm going to go to the laptop here. I'm going to bring in a prop here, folks, to tell you the people that I'm most excited about, the names I'm most excited about in this upcoming season at Rangers. Now, they are, and it seems to be really strange to be most excited about people whose names you can't remember and don't really know anything about the background. Head of Performance, Tom Taylor. Head of Preparation, Craig Flanagan. Head of Strength and Conditioning, Paraskevis Polychronopoulos. First Team Analyst, Graham Stevenson. Director of Medical and Performance, Dr. Mark Waller. Coffee beans. Club Doctor, Chris Milne. Head Physiotherapist, Jonathan Orwin. Assistant Physiotherapist, Jonathan Skinner. Rehabilitation Specialist, Russell Parker. Masseurs, last but not least, David Lavery, Paul Shields. The guys that are actually putting their hands on the muscles of these players who've been getting consistently injured. It was injuries what did for us last season. The players were there, the manager showed he had the tactical nous, the man management skills. We had a bad start, a terrible start under Michael Beale, who showed that he had no idea what he was doing, ultimately, when it came down to it. And I think he's had no idea what he's doing, the medical team that he brought in there, whatever. I don't know, these people, I know Tom Taylor came from Brighton in December because I was really excited. This guy, Tom Taylor, was going to come in. I wanted us to be down to Glasgow Airport and greeting him like a Rangers captain bringing home the Champions League, because just even at that point in time, we knew the injuries was the problem. Injuries was a major problem. This guy was going to come in and help us go over the injuries. I don't know. It hasn't happened at all. I don't think we can put it on him. The manager himself, Philip Clement, all through last season, with increasing frustration, he was diagnosing the injuries, the amount of injuries we had at Ibrox. The injury plague has been down to Michael Beale. I don't think I actually said Michael Beale, but it seemed to be that was what he was indicating, and I don't know how that's worked. I'm just keen to get the kind of prognosis, find out how long are we recovering from that. Are every player that's coming in here just now, no matter what age they are, what experience, what wage they're on, are they going to be fit? Because the man needs to know what he's working with. You need the players. You need to. We saw last season what happens with it when you bring in the big performers, Dujon Sterling and Cortez was fantastic. We lost him. It was a terrible blow to us. Things started going slightly off the rails there, and Sima as well. Abdallah Sima, that was a massive miss to us. You could see the drop in quality as people were trying to plug these gaps. We need to know that whatever players we have in the squad, they can be there as often as they can possibly be there, because apart from anything else, it's cohesion. Being able to work together as a team, you build up a cohesion, and you can start to become a bit like Georgia in that game against Portugal in the European Championships, the last group game. The sum of the whole can start to amount to more than the sum of the parts. So I'm really keen to know what's going on with the fitness. The players are back, they say, pre-season training. Just don't want MD breaking down. I want to know that the players are going to be available for the manager. There's going to, every season, every team, you're going to get a certain amount of injuries. But the lack of depth of our squad already had us struggling. I like the idea that we've got the fella Connor Barron, young boy coming from Aberdeen, and he's rumoured to be his kind of place midfield. He could be sitting in there beside Diamonde, who was looking increasingly good. He's a really good player, Diamonde. He definitely knew what he was doing. As I said before, I said in an earlier video when I was just kind of taking a second look at the way the season had ended. Diamonde and Sterling and Raskan, who'd done nothing in his long comeback from injury. The three of them, I liked their attitude as much as their performances, the energy they were showing. There was a total lack of respect for Celtic, not almost a hatred. I kind of like, can't stand you, we need to beat you. It was really encouraging to see. So just keep these players fit. Keep them fit, get them on the park, get some more decent signings around them, and we're probably going to be okay. One thing that is definite, did you see the John Greig? See the John Greig thing on BBC, the football icons on BBC Scotland? Okay, if Katie Tunstall was narrating it, I know it's BBC Scotland, we've got problems with them, but you know, very nice. As you know, I quite like a bit of detail. When it comes to football, so I find these things that they kind of skim over the top of stuff. I want a bit more detail, but it was a bit of a revelation. No Celtic fans, I know a lot of Celtic fans watch these videos, think Rangers were all supporting England now. Rangers fans are all supporting England, and kind of, I hope they do well. England, I'm not jumping up and down and cheering, even when Jude Bellingham has an overhead kick equaliser in the 15th minute of injury time. But that must have started with John Greig. He's very pro-English. Do you see the whole thing? It's Berwick Rangers, the game at Berwick in 1967, he's saying to the ref, just blow the whistle. England's finest, Berwick Rangers, the ref blows his whistle. That's not how it works, John. That's not how the Masonic conspiracy works. Tell him to give us a penalty. Tell him to spot a handball. Well, no VAR then, we'd be absolutely fine. But no, it just shows you Rangers really honest. And then, of course, Wembley 67, didn't he want to kick Bobby Charlton? Because he was his hero, because he loved Bobby Charlton, thought he was a great player, didn't he want to kick him? You know, you're playing for Scotland. Didn't even want to sign for Rangers. Legend. I don't know. Absolutely fantastic, John Greig. I met John Greig. It was my sister's 18th, I think. We in Argyle House for the meal part. I was like, you know what it's like at that age, especially coming from a Drossen. It's a kind of ongoing week of celebrations. But at one point, Mum and Dad took us up to Ibrox, and we had the meal in Argyle House. And John Greig was just doing his kind of host bit, and he was walking about the table. I never even knew he was there. And next thing he comes up and he's just talking to us, and I couldn't speak. I actually couldn't open my mouth. Couldn't speak. And I remember him calling my dad son. Dad said, "You want a drink, John?" He's like, "All right, son." And I'm, he's called my dad son. You know, fantastic, and it seemed right. You know, and then I did a wee book about the Cup Winners' Cup win in '72, and we got phone numbers of various players and what have you, and one of them was John Greig, and I was just to phone him, and he basically phoned back and just left a message saying it was okay to use his video, you know, for any quotes or whatever, the video of his two-part video that he did of his career. And I this was when this is like early 2000, right at the kind of turn of the millennium. Still had an answer phone in my flat. I come back into my flat. I'd phoned him and left a message, no answer. And I pressed my answer phone and I come back into the flat. Hello, this is John Greig. I just about started crying. It was, you just go like jelly. It's unreal when John Greig gives you a phone. So an absolute legend. But it was a really interesting one thing I found really interesting was the woman, his neighbour, shouting him up into her flat in 1953. Got to see the Matthews Cup final. 4-3 for Blackpool against Bolton Wanderers, and he was talking about how Wembley looked amazing. When nobody had televisions in the days, he thought it was brilliant. Didn't know he was eventually going to go back to and play at Wembley, captain of the Scotland team that beat England, the first team to beat the English world champions in 1967. But 1979, I remember the same thing happened to me, except with my dad shouting me at my mate into my house. For the 1979 Cup Winners' Cup final, which finished 4-3 to Barcelona. He's like, this game's absolutely amazing. Get yourselves in here. We were playing football across from my house, but my dad was just, this game's brilliant. Get in here. And we watched, and that finished 4-3 as well. That was 1979 Cup Winners' Cup final at the end of John Greig's first season as Rangers manager when he won both the cups. He was a cup winner as well as a captain of our Cup Winners' Cup winning team, the first Cup Winners' Cup final I remember watching on television. Not struggling at all. For stuff to talk about, the strip. We've got the new strip. It's really difficult with the Rangers strip. A quick check. This one's it's a bit Portsmouth. It's a bit Irvine Meadow. The red piping down the sleeve. Bit Portsmouth, bit Irvine Meadow 11, and that's fine. That's okay. Sometimes you look at it and a bit. There's a lot. Celtic green and white hoops. You don't get a lot of teams wearing green and white. You do now, obviously, but it's quite. You can remember the time, what was it, Hamram Spartans, or the time Ferencváros and Rapid Vienna went with the green and white hoops. I mean, but Sporting and Portugal does stand out in the crowd. You're watching the Portugal games, you're watching Ronaldo crying because he's just found out that MLS, thanks to that Supreme Court ruling to give Donald Trump king-like immunity, is every bit as evil a republic now, is running it, but every much evil a republic as Saudi Arabia is, where he's currently making his money. See, crying doesn't actually mean that you're sad or anything. It's just, it means he's embarrassed. He just wants a goal. He's just like a big spoilt Wayne, Ronaldo, and bit of I don't know. I'm not sure. There's a lot of, like Piers Morgan into his house, to talk about when that is. So I don't in any way feel sorry for Ronaldo, but that kind of game was on the other night, and you see the Portuguese crowd, and you're like, oh my god, that's a Celtic. They're everywhere, these Celtic supporters, but no, it's actually a Sporting Club de Portugal fan. It sticks out. Our kit, a lot of teams wear blue. A lot of teams wear royal blue, and it is royal blue. I know we're called the light blues, but that was in relation to the dark blue of Scotland. And you can see behind me that the three stripes here of Adidas, that pile there, it's actually a Schalke 04 top. That's and it was Königsblauen, excuse my German, Königsblau, Royal Blues. One of their nicknames is the Royal Blues, and it's the exact same colour, as you can see, as my early 80s Rangers pinstripe top. I did actually used to be able to get into that. Unbelievable. So we're definitely kind of royal blue. A lot of teams wear royal blue, but I look at it, I think, does it look like Everton? Does it look like Leicester City? This one, bit Portsmouth, and that's not a bad thing, because sometimes you switch on the telly back in the day and you go, why the hell are Rangers playing Swindon Town? What the hell are Rangers doing, away to Bolton Wanderers? Oh no, it's Portsmouth, it's footage of Portsmouth. That's a good strip, that's a pretty staunch strip they've got, the red socks with various folds on those socks, white shorts, same kind of blue top, fantastic. I see Rangers sometimes, especially when we go to Tynecastle and we put on the white shorts with our home top. That's a bit Everton. It's a bit Everton in a bad way. I never really like it. I never like to see us, not really like to see us in white socks, although I will say the away kit, the new away kit we've got that hit the shops before the home kit, with the blue shorts, the white socks, it's like the Nacional. It's quite Nacional of Montevideo, one of the big two teams in Uruguay, and there's a photograph of them, the 1980, I think it is, Intercontinental Cup final, playing Nottingham Forest in Tokyo. You know, the forerunner of your Club World Championship. And they're the bunch of hardest looking guys you've ever seen in your life. They're just all standing, they're ready to go. They'd be team group photographed before the game. They are focused, they are mean looking, they look like South American champions. And the Nacional home kit is quite, that's kind of white, blue and white. And that Rangers kit, the away kit is quite like that. It's quite smart. I really like it. The home strip, the main thing for me is always red and black socks. And they've kept the red and black socks. Massive white scroll crest RFC on them. But that's the main thing for me. I remember Mum saying to me when I was a kid, "Oh, but the Rangers socks don't match. They don't match the top." And I remember thinking, "No, they don't," and it's brilliant. And they do match in the most beautiful way possible. But I love it. I love the fact that our socks are kind of incongruous. They kind of clash with our top, with our shorts. Absolutely fantastic. Listen, if I was asked to design the Rangers strip, I would always have it as the 1978 kind of. Was that 1975 to 1978? In fact, 1960s. Aye, the first time we ever wore the scroll crest, it was in 1968 before we wore that crest. So it's just kind of 53 years old. It was having an actual Rangers crest, the RFC on the strip, and we went in that round neck. It was almost like a crew neck. I just love it. It's completely plain. 1978 Scottish Cup final. We wore it with a wee Umbro rhombus diamond thing. That was pretty cool. I remember they obviously got, because they got the round the crest, it would say 1978 Scottish Cup final, Scottish FA Cup final versus Aberdeen. John Greig, captain for Jock Wallace's treble winning team, and it had it with the wee Umbro thing, and the Umbro diamond was on the shorts as well. But before that, it was just a round neck, plain blue top, deep royal blue, fantastic. Plain white shorts, the red and black socks, phenomenal. We've played 5 European finals, we haven't wore the red and black socks in any of them. Quite incredible. And I include both legs of the 1961 Cup Winners' Cup final. But the John Greig, that's the thing, the John Greig video, it showed you the first time I've ever seen Davy Wilson's goal in the away leg of the 66-67 Cup Winners' Cup final against, who was it? Levski Sofia? CSKA Sofia? I think it might have been Levski Sofia. It's in the Levski Stadium, so it must have been anyway. But there's David Wilson. He's scoring the goal. I've never seen it before. He's tucking it away, 13th minute. Absolutely fantastic. John, the legend, Greig, not mentioning the fact, again saying we played Bayern Munich in that final in Germany, but it's in Bavaria, as Alan McInally would say, in Bayern. Not in München, but in Nuremberg. I mean, like Gerd Müller famously scored against Rangers in the Fairs Cup 70-71 season. Scored against absolutely everybody else on the planet as well. One of my all-time heroes, Gerd Müller. But he was a Nuremberg supporter. He grew up as a Nuremberg fan. So it's in Bavaria. It was more than just it's in the same country. It's in the same bloody county, same region of Germany. So we really were a proper away team for that 67 Cup Winners' Cup final, and a real tragedy that they couldn't win that. It was just going down by a goal in extra time. The strip itself, it looks okay. I see what they're trying to do. I mean, the beautiful thing about it, of course, that they've got is with the Walter Smith quote on the inside of the shirt. There are people for whom Rangers Football Club is their entire way of life. What a bunch of weirdos. Never imagine Rangers being your entire way of life. That's a terrible way to live. I can't imagine what that's like. But the ongoing embarrassment with the stadium is just reprised with this 125th anniversary of Ibrox, and as the remaining part of Ibrox being the Archibald Leitch main stand, and of course it took us 4 years to get a roof. We did it properly. You get the club deck, an extra tier on the top of it, and get the club deck up there, and it's the kind of, at first I'm like, what, that's supposed to be the front of the main stand? No, it's obviously the rigging, if you like, that's holding up the roof on the main stand. It's holding up the roof to the club deck, and I can't really see it in the kind of shadow patterning on the kit. Different zigzag, different obvious design there, but it's quite good. It gives you a feeling of walking down Edmondson Drive and seeing that the corner of the roof. It becomes clearer, a bit more clear on the goalkeeper's jersey, the orange goalkeeper's jersey, a different pattern on that. It's like that's the stuff you see up the top of that's holding the roof up there, that's giving it that bit of cantilevering, although there is, pillars supporting it. And then on is it a training top, they call it, one of the kind of training tops you get. It's very clear. You can see that's the roof. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing, and it's pretty embarrassing because the strip is based on the stadium. The stadium, which we don't know yet. Is it going to be open? Are we going to be? We're having real problems. It's last week I was like, let's chill out about it, and not get too uptight about it. But the supporters clubs don't even know. They're getting a terrible time trying to get information from the club itself. It's not a good look. It's not a good look at all, and it's terrible for people who are trying to make their way to Ibrox or whatever they're trying to make their way to. They don't know what's happening. And the thing that got me was that crane, that green crane, the orange crane and the green. It's a kind of lime green. It's the same colour as the truck that hits the security car at the beginning of Heat. You know, when the Neil Macaulay's crew, when Robert De Niro's crew, their first kind of job that you see in the film Heat, 1995. It's this, stolen out of Fresno 2 weeks ago. Says Ted Levine when he's playing Bosco when they're doing the crime scene. But a few minutes later, when Al Pacino's team come in, Vincent Hanna's team come in, and they're going to robbery homicide. They're going to take this. Yeah, same colour as that. So there's a bad vibe there straight away. Something criminal was going to happen. But the worst thing is, I didn't get an email. I just saw the tweet, announcement or something like that. Read the statement below, and then you had to go in the statement was telling you Ibrox might not be ready for the start of the new season. It's not get much better. The communication has not got much better. I'm hoping the club are working at something that's going to keep Ibrox open and is going to cause minimum disruption, and that's why they're not telling us much just now. But people you're getting to the stage where we really need to know what's happening. Uncertainty does create negativity. If you just pan down the Rangers Twitter account, you'll see all sorts of information about, like, Bomber Brown is going to be he's doing tours, the Rangers Museum, sign up here, and he says it's magic, and quote this, quote that, on the one tweet. But when it comes to where the club are actually going to be playing, it's like very enigmatic. Just click on this and we've got something I need to tell you. It's weird, and that has continued with us not really knowing what's happening still at this stage. A week later, we don't really know what's happening, where the club are going to be playing. That's a bad thing. As I say, it's not unusual. It's not unusual for clubs to play, particularly European games. I mean, Borussia Mönchengladbach, the 1979 UEFA Cup final, the times when the UEFA Cup final was a home and away affair. Borussia Mönchengladbach would play big games at the Rheinstadion in Dusseldorf. It's quite close by, so they would go to the big stadium in Dusseldorf. Now been the replacement of that stadium has been used at the Euros. Juventus, the 1995 UEFA Cup final, their home leg was against Parma, but they played it at the San Siro. They played it at Milan Inter's San Siro because they were having terrible problems with the Stadio delle Alpi. Situation where Celtic, I'm using them as an example, not in a kind of you've done it too sort of way. I mean, like Spurs went to the new Wembley when they were getting their new stadium built. Arsenal played at the old Wembley when they were moving to the Emirates from Highbury. Rangers played DWS Amsterdam back in the Fairs Cup in the late 60s. We played them at the Olympic Stadium in Amsterdam. They put Chelsea in the previous round, and Chelsea had beat Morton, and Morton's only European game in the round before that as well. But it's fascinating stuff. But Celtic and Ajax have actually played, fascinatingly, they've played 4 different venues. Home and away games in Europe, never met in a European final or anything like that, but Celtic have used Hampden as well as Parkhead in games they've played against Ajax in Europe, and Ajax used the old Olympic Stadium in Amsterdam, which is still there, classic venue, and site the 1962 European Cup final, 5-3 to Benfica against Real Madrid, Puskas hat-trick. And they've also played Celtic in the arena, the Amsterdam arena, same as they played Rangers, and Rangers played against Ajax in the Amsterdam arena Amsterdam arena and the Olympic Stadium in Amsterdam. We played them in the Olympic Stadium in Amsterdam in the first ever Super Cup, the away leg of the first ever Super Cup back in 72-73. And this is all without Ajax having to play. Remember, they used to have their actual home stadium was Demir, excuse me with my definite articles. Dutch definite articles, but they had another stadium. There's still another stadium available for them to play Celtic or Rangers. Amazing the amount of stadiums that teams will use for home. The Prater Stadium, Rangers played Rapid Vienna. We've played them is it the Gerhard Hanepe Stadium? That's Rapid Vienna's actual home stadium. But like Casino Austria Salzburg in the 1994 UEFA Cup final, their home leg against Inter, they played it at the Prater, the Ernst Happel Stadium, the national stadium of Austria in Vienna. Jim Baxter, that's where he get his leg broken in the 64-65 European Cup. It's not unusual, is what I'm saying, for another game at Davy Wilson Scotland. It's not unusual for teams to have to play away from home when they're playing their home games, but it's quite embarrassing that Rangers have brought out this strip celebrating the 125th anniversary of Ibrox, and we don't know if Ibrox is going to be usable or not. But the strip itself, it's doing everything it should. It's difficult with Rangers strips. As I say, it's difficult to know. I don't think it's always about innate style. For example, the 1995 Scottish Cup final where we brought out the strip in which we would win 9 in a row. That's a horrendous strip. My whole story with Rangers is, as I say, I would have the strip as plain as possible all the time. It's a good quality cup. I've seen this summer how Italy using Adidas just really hasn't worked. It's that thing. I love Adidas. As a kid growing up, I always loved Adidas. And I was really jealous that we didn't have an Adidas kit. But then when we went to Adidas in the 90s, we had a couple of years with Admiral after a long time with Umbro. Then we went to Adidas, and it was just the worst time for Adidas ever. We started with those, the mud flap things. I saw that strip that we wore, was it 1992 Scottish Cup final against Airdrie, that we announced it, we premiered it. I loved the, what was it called, the dry marker, dry Riemann, whatever it is, Streffel, it's the, the trademark with the 3 stripes that they call it in German. I used to know that one off by heart because I used to love Adidas that much, and I always loved the 3 stripes. Bayern Munich, when they won the 1974 European Cup, in fact the 3 in a row European Cups they won, they wore their away kit for both games in the 74 European Cup final and when they won it at Hampden in 76. They all white, but with they had the Adidas, it was a 3 stripe. The 3 stripes were in the socks, down the side of the shorts, and down the sleeves. No crest or anything like that. That was all you needed to know. It was beautiful. Get Rangers that strip. That's the only thing I would like to see on our sleeves. So we get it when they change that. No, the 3 stripes you see behind me there. They change it to these big mud flaps on the shoulders. And I thought, let's say Ian Durrant and Stuart McCall would be pulling their shorts up that high and pulling their shorts on that. It looked like it was just actual white stripes. It would look like Gothenburg or something like that. I thought that's just far too fussy for a Rangers strip. And then we win the treble, we get to a goal away for the Champions League final, and it's my favourite Rangers strip of all time because of what the players did in it. The Ajax strips are an all-time classic in European football, all-time classic in world football because of how Ajax play football, because of the things they've done. It signifies genius. You can't separate the fact that if somebody gave you that as a T-shirt, if there was no such club as Ajax, this white T-shirt, a big massive red block, unless you're, going to a Prodigy concert in 1996, it's no really what you want to be wearing, but you think about Cruyff, you think about it's what's done in the Brazil kit. I'm kind of done with Brazil now, but when I was a kid, it was the most iconic kit possible in international football. It's like canary yellow with light blue with white socks with green on it. And why would I like that? Because of the guys that wore that kit, because of the way they wore it, because of the things they did in that kit. You just associate it with brilliant football. So you can never really properly judge a kit until stuff is done in it. So hopefully these Rangers players will get to do lots of great stuff in this kit that's having a go at celebrating the greatest Rangers manager of my life and also the greatest stadium that I've ever been in. I would just like to know when I'm going to be back in it. That'll do for me, folks. Remember to take your passport or your driver's licence with you when you're going to vote. Your MyGers card will not be enough. Thanks, Trips.